All right, let's talk about what makes land fertile. What's the secret recipe? Today we're going to break down all those natural ingredients that can turn a simple patch of dirt into a powerhouse of food production. Or, leave it completely barren. So let's get into it.
So let me ask you something to get us started. Have you ever wondered why you can grow these incredible rich coffee beans way up in the mountains of Colombia, but you just can't do it in the middle of Kansas? It's a great question, right? And the answer, well, it's not just one thing. It's this amazing mix of natural factors all working together perfectly. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so where do we start this journey? We're going to start from the top, literally. We're looking at the factors from the sky. This is the big one, because the atmosphere and the climate, they really set the stage for absolutely everything else that happens down on the ground.
When we say climate, it's not just one thing. It's kind of like its own little recipe with 5 key ingredients. First up, you've got temperature. That's what decides how long your growing season is. Then there's rainfall, obviously, the lifeblood for any plant. You need sunlight. That's the fuel for everything. And don't forget wind and humidity. They can be a huge help or a huge problem, especially when it comes to things like pests. Every single one of these plays a super critical part.
And it's not just about having some heat or some rain. It's about getting it just right. It's a total Goldilocks situation. Take a look at wheat. It likes it not too hot, not too cold. That's why places like the Midwest are perfect for it. Corn, on the other hand, it needs that intense summer heat to really get going. And then you have potatoes, which actually need cooler weather to form those tubers underground. It's the perfect example of why you just can't grow anything you want wherever you want.
But it's not just about the general weather patterns over a huge area. There's another massive factor that can change things completely, even in a small region, and that's altitude. The higher up you go, the more the rules of the game can change.
And here you can really see just how much of a difference it makes. Up high, things are generally cooler, you often get more rain, and surprise, surprise, that's perfect for things like tea and coffee. And hey, there's the answer to our original question about Colombia. But then you go down to the lowlands, and it's a whole different story. It's warmer, often a bit drier, and that's where you'll find the perfect spot for things like rice and sugarcane. All right, so let's come down from the atmosphere and land right on the ground. For this next part, we're going to look at the shape of the land itself. We're talking about topography, which is really just a fancy word for how the land is laid out and how that impacts farming.
So what is topography, really? It's simple. It's the lay of the land. Think about it. Is it flat as a pancake? Or is it all hills and valleys? Is it a super steep mountain? All of that stuff has a huge impact on what you can do with it, agriculturally speaking.
Okay, let's zoom in on 2 really important features here. First, slope. How steep the land is. If it's too steep, water just rushes right off, and it can take all that good topsoil with it. Plus, good luck trying to drive a tractor on that. Then there's something called aspect, which is just the direction a slope is facing. It sounds small, but think about it. In the northern hemisphere, a slope that faces south gets way more direct sun. It's going to be warmer and drier than a slope facing north. It's one of those little details that has massive consequences.
And of course, we have to talk about drainage. You can't talk about the shape of the land without it. If water just sits there, you get waterlogged soil, and the plant's roots literally can't breathe. They'll drown. So good drainage is absolutely essential to make sure those roots get the oxygen they need to stay healthy. Okay, so we've covered the sky, we've covered the surface of the land. Now it's time to actually get our hands dirty and dig a little deeper. We're going right into the foundation of everything, the secrets that are hidden right there in the soil. And let me tell you, not all soil is the same, not even close. The absolute holy grail, the thing farmers dream about, is a type of soil called loam, and it's all about that perfect balance. You've got about 40% sand, which is great for drainage, then 40% silt, which holds on to moisture and nutrients, and finally about 20% clay, which kind of holds it all together. For a plant, it is literally the best of all possible worlds.
So what does this perfect structure do? Well, for starters, it lets rainwater soak into the ground instead of just running off the top. It also creates these nice little pathways for roots to grow down deep and strong. And, maybe most importantly, it lets air get down in there, circulating around and giving those roots the oxygen they desperately need. Another huge secret hidden in the soil is its pH level. A good way to think about pH is like a gatekeeper for nutrients. See, if the soil is too acidic or too alkaline for a certain plant, it doesn't matter how many nutrients are in there, the gate is locked. The plant just can't access them. Now, most of your common vegetables and crops, they love a nice, neutral soil. But then you have specialists, right? Blueberries need acidic soil to thrive, while something like asparagus actually prefers it on the alkaline side.
And the secrets don't stop there. Of course, you've got fertility. That's having the big three nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Then you have organic matter, compost and decomposed stuff. That acts like a giant sponge in the soil, holding on to water and nutrients. And finally, depth. You need deep soil so roots have plenty of room to dig in, get a good anchor, and find water when things get dry.
Okay, so we've covered all the non-living parts: the climate, the land, the soil. But there's one more crucial layer to this recipe, and this one is alive. We're talking about the neighbors, the whole ecosystem of living things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that share the land with our crops. In farming, there's this constant battle going on, a real push and pull. On one team, you've got the helpers. Think bees and butterflies doing pollination, ladybugs munching on pests, and even microscopic bacteria that do this incredible magic trick of pulling nitrogen from the air and feeding it to the plants. But then you've got the other team, the hindrances. Pests, diseases, and weeds that are all fighting for the very same water, sunlight, and nutrients.
So yeah, it's a constant battle, for sure. It's all about trying to maintain this incredibly delicate balance.
So, let's recap the whole recipe, shall we? You've got the big picture stuff, climate and altitude. Then you've got the shape of the land, the topography. You have to dig down into the foundation, the soil itself. And finally, you have all the living things, the biotic factors, both good and bad. Every single one of these pieces has to come together just right to create truly productive farmland.
And all of this leaves us with a really big, important question to think about. This recipe we've just broken down. It's worked for thousands of years. But our world's climate is changing, right? That means the fundamental rules are starting to shift. So the question is, how are we going to have to adapt this recipe to make sure we can keep feeding everyone in the future? It's definitely something to chew on.